Hi, Johnny. You all right?
Yes. Are we on now?
We are now. Yeah. Been recording for a while. Yeah.
Oh,
Just
right.
thought we'd get our tongues wagging. So,
I
I'm all
didn't
good.
say anything controversial.
It's all right. I can delete it. I planned. I do it with a lot of people, and sometimes I don't even tell them we're going, and then I'm like, an hour's done now, and they're like, when you press record, and I'm like, I got all that bits where you're slagging everybody off. So. You stay up to watch the Oscars?
I didn't because I don't have Sky Movies. But I've seen it now.
Yeah.
I know all the results.
Yeah.
I predicted the results for the second year in a row.
Did you?
I didn't put a bet on.
Ah, shit.
So I'm going to put one on next year and get them all wrong.
Yeah. Do you know what's I kind of said, as I said, like, did you stay up for the Oscars? I kind of thought, like, well, probably didn't because, you know, like, you stay up for, like, the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The Oscars is a bit less exciting.
Chicken wings.
Yeah.
Everyone round, beers.
Yeah. Let's watch the Oscars.
Let's watch loads of rich people collect things and then say things.
Just dream about a life.
No, I do like the Oscars because it's a celebration of film.
Yeah.
Cheesy as it sounds.
No, I enjoy it, and I enjoy it selfishly a lot of the time because, this year is probably one of the first years where I knew like 7 out of 10 films across the board, and I'd kind of seen them inadvertently. I don't know what that says about me. Maybe my taste is getting a bit better as I'm getting a bit older. But there was times where I'd watch the Oscars and I'd know like 1 or 2 films.
Yeah.
But I liked it, and I've probably just got like hundreds of screenshots somewhere of like every Oscars. I'll just screenshot it and go, right, I need to watch that.
Yeah.
Because it's a nice way to go, well, there's 10 films that I know are going to be of some certain level of quality.
Yeah, quality, you know what I mean?
So
they're not all for everyone's taste, but you know you're going to get a good film generally.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I watched Gary Oldman. What's the film called? Darkest Hour. Last night because I kind of wanted to prepare a little bit for this, but I wanted to see it just because I thought it'd be a good film if it's been nominated for an Oscar. And obviously, I know Gary Oldman's a good actor, but I don't know how much, if it had came out in August, I don't know if I'd have got a chance to see it, and I'd probably put it on a list somewhere and maybe not got around to watching it.
I've actually not seen it.
Haven't you?
No, it's the only one I haven't seen.
Yeah.
You know what,
there's
though?
a few I haven't seen.
Out of all of them, I really didn't fancy that one as much as the rest.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just because I feel like I've seen enough old white men doing good things.
Yeah.
Who aren't really that nice but get portrayed as nice. I don't know.
Yeah, he doesn't really get portrayed as nice, but I mean, there's bits, yeah.
I'm sure it'll be great. Gary Oldman's a great actor. I will see it.
Yeah.
I just didn't get around to it.
What caught me off guard was I expected like a period piece that was very dramatic and Gary Oldman with lots of makeup on being good because Gary Oldman's good, but cinematically it was really nice. There was loads of really nice shots, quite creative. Like the directors, like obviously, I don't know. A lot of the times they stay away from fancy shots, maybe.
Yeah.
Not fancy, but
so it took more risks than you might think.
Yeah. And I was watching it going out. I really liked the camera work in it, which I didn't expect from it. So that was a nice bonus.
I actually thought all the films this year were quite more risk taking than you might have seen in previous years.
Yeah.
Get Out. I mean, I'd have loved it if that had won. It's our first horror movie ever to get an Oscar.
Yeah.
Ever.
Is it?
Yeah.
No way.
So that was great.
Is it a horror? Is it a thriller? Yeah,
it's a horror.
There's like scenes popping in my head where I'm like,
I think it's a horror. Yeah. I think
like when it kills, I'm like totally like. By the way, spoilers. Like if you're listening to this, it's too late.
Yeah, too late.
Just there's some pretty violent bits in it.
By genre,
Get Out.
By genre definition, Jurassic Park is a horror movie.
Yeah.
Because what you have is something called a gift taken away. So you have a character who has something that is removed from them. So Jurassic Park would be freedom.
Right.
Get Out would be freedom.
Yeah.
Most Texas Chainsaw Massacre would be freedom. So
yeah,
there's only 4 genres. I'm not saying this is right, by the way.
Yeah. No, it's okay. But it's genre theory. Yeah.
So you would have a thriller, which has sub-genres. It's like action thriller, political thriller.
Okay.
Feminist thriller.
Yeah.
So you have thriller, horror, romance, and
comedy.
No, comedy comes under romance.
Right.
I've gone blank.
Yeah.
There is another genre. I'll have the next hour of the podcast. I'll just pop up.
Yeah. That's quite interesting. Yeah, I Get Out for me was fantastic, and the smartest bit about it was using. There's probably plenty of films that have done similar things in the past that I didn't realise, but using racial tension to invigorate sorry, invigorate's definitely the wrong word.
I know
To
what you mean.
stimulate a physical response.
Yeah.
To then like smooths you straight into like horror tension was amazing. I thought like, because horror films generally will use horror to create tension or fear to use tension, but instead they used the political zeitgeist and also just went, so we've got you a bit tense and a bit like, oh, you can't really say that, and then we're gonna really fuck with you with violence, and you're like, whoa, like.
And it wasn't
incredibly smart.
it wasn't as black and white as, no pun intended, as right wing conservatives are bad people. These people were liberals.
Yeah.
And they were racist in a different way, in the same way that you might have someone who says, "Oh, I'm not racist, but I have a friend who's black."
Yeah.
And it was more targeting those kind of people. They wanted what black people had, and there's a few comments within the film where this one guy goes, "Oh, black, it's fashionable now." But it's to be fair, the fact that film was made is, I love it. I think it's my favourite film of the year.
Yeah.
But it speaks volumes for what's happening in society anyway.
Yeah.
That the director and Jordan Peele found it necessary to make that movie was quite interesting in itself.
Yeah, the fact that
we're in 2018 and
you're having to make that sort of political
racial statements are having to get made.
Yeah.
Same with Wonder Woman, Black Panther. I love all those movies. But the fact that we're all going, oh my God, it's amazing that there's a film with black people in it, and it's amazing that there's a film with a female lead. Well, they should be happening anyway as the norm. And it's become normal that we don't really see these kind of movies. So I think what's good about this year is that going forward, there'll be more of that.
Uh-huh.
Black Panther's almost hit $1 billion at the box office.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
So producers now might go, oh my God, actually, equality might actually make money.
You think they'll cash in on it though? Are we going to see like another saga of like blaxploitation films?
I don't know. There should just be more black people in films. They don't get given enough roles.
Stop.
Women don't get given enough roles.
Yeah. And that Frances McDormand, I think. Yeah.
She made every nominee stand up, and there was still hardly any women stood up. And that wasn't just for the best supporting actress or best actress. That was in general.
Females. Yeah.
So I don't think it's. I think Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird was like the sixth director ever of a woman the sixth female director ever to get a nomination.
Right. Yeah.
And
because Catherine Bigelow was the first one. Yeah.
And I feel like they're just not being given the opportunities, and people might turn around and go, well, they are. Those films just aren't as good. But I don't believe that.
It's tough, isn't it?
It's still there in Hollywood. It's still there. This kind of playing it safe with giving the jobs to white men.
Yeah.
And I think if they just do take more risks, then it'll be better.
I think if it's hearing everybody on an open field and giving everybody equal opportunity, isn't it? So, and not being afraid to say that this film written by a man or a woman, just a person, is amazing or not very good. The same with ideas, like that's the other road you end up going down, isn't it? Where recently, I think a Google employee or a YouTube employee or a Facebook employee or someone in Silicon Valley got sacked because he said, and this is just a headline I read, but he basically got told to like stop hiring Chinese nerds and white males because they were like, we need to just diversify our workplace, full stop. And he was like, at the minute, these are the best applications that I'm getting. Yeah,
which is fair enough.
Yeah.
I do believe if Lady Bird wasn't a very good movie, it wouldn't have got nominated.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
but
we need to...
It's not that there was... I don't think it's not that there was more... That certain women, directors got neglected. They just haven't been given those jobs.
Yeah. I agree with you, yeah.
It's not that there's loads of female-directed films out there that were all missed
that weren't very good. Yeah.
It's just that they're not getting hired as much.
Yeah, full stop, yeah. Which
if you look at the stats, I realised a stat the other day, earlier actually. It hasn't got numbers, so I can't read it out. It's got like a chart for the last 20 years of Best Picture winners, and the amount of lines that women had compared to men.
No way.
And it was just like every single movie is like over 75% more words spoken by men than women. No and way. It's because the screenwriters and directors and actors and producers have always just been like, put a man on the front of. Yeah, because it's a safer thing to do. Whereas Wonder Woman shows that's not the case.
Yeah,
people will flock to the box office regardless.
Yeah, it was a good film.
Loved it.
Very good film. Yeah,
got snubbed at the Oscars. I don't think it might have got Best Picture nomination, but I thought it might have got some recognition.
Yeah. Well, forgive me if for my ignorance if I'm wrong, but comic book adaptations very rarely get any sort of nods. I mean, Logan. Did Logan?
See, I thought Logan would have as well.
Yeah. It won an Oscar for something. I can't remember what. Might have been adapted screenplay.
No, that was Call Me by Your Name.
Was it? Yeah, it got something. Cinematography, maybe. No, it wasn't cinematography because that was Blade Runner, but...
Well-deserved Blade Runner.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think it should have got a Best Picture nomination, Blade Runner. I think it was great, but I watched it again the other day, and after the second watch, I thought, I don't know if I'd watch this. I want to watch it again. Yeah. It's beautiful to have on in the background when you've got people around.
Yeah. I mean, like...
that doesn't make it an amazing movie.
Visually, yeah, unbelievable.
That's why it was best cinematography.
Yeah.
But it might have staying power. You don't know. It's hard to judge for that. It's easy to just go, that's the best film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then you watch it again and you're like, oh, actually, I was a bit hyperbole there.
Yeah. I think
it's not as good as
a lot of the times it's mood. I remember you telling me, was it Dark Knight Rises that you went to see the midnight showing, and then a couple of days later you watched it again and were like, actually, it's really good.
Mate,
I was just fucking knackered.
It was the next morning.
Yeah. Was it?
Yeah. I went to midnight I was with Tyler and Lister, actually.
Right.
Was it Lister? Andy?
Yeah.
And we all hated it. We were sat in McDonald's going like, that's absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Like, rubbish. Then I went with Lena the next day to IMAX.
Yeah.
Came out and then I was like, I loved it. When I'd had to sleep.
Yeah.
But then I've seen it about 10 times since. Oh. And every time I watch it, I like it and I love it to a certain extent, but there's still all the flaws that
you've picked out in the first one. Yeah.
It's important to realise that you can love something but still be critical of it.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park's my favourite film of all time.
Yeah.
Never will be topped, but it's full of flaws.
Yeah.
My wife loves me, but I'm full of flaws. So it's important.
If ever there was an example of that, then
yeah, exactly. So it's
not you. I mean, men in general.
Yeah, for sure. It's absolutely fine to love a film but be critical of it at the same time.
Yeah.
There's too much of a culture of fanboyism where you can't say a bad word about anything, and if you say a bad word about something, you either love it or you hate it.
Yeah,
all this Star Wars stuff, like The Last Jedi, and it's like people didn't like 3 or 4 things with it, therefore it was shocking.
Yeah.
I was guilty of it when I loved it.
Yeah.
I was guilty of it when I went to see Jurassic World, to be honest. I went to see it and I came out and I was full of fanboy rage. That was not how it was supposed to be. I know better than the director, which is not true.
Yeah.
But this is something I've kind of learned, and my attitude changed when I'd been on set.
Yeah.
And I'd actually seen the process.
Yeah.
And realised actually I was just being a Doyle, to be honest. Because there's still loads of flaws with that film, but I would think of flaws, but I've warmed to it. The more I watch it, the more I enjoy it.
I feel like in terms of my knowledge of creative endeavours, so I've written music, I've made some music videos, I'm trying to list my CV, I don't know, I've done some cool stuff, but the difference between, and I specifically remember the first time I tried to record some music and put it out there, and I was like, oh, there's so much work goes into just one song that I was like, you just have an amazing appreciation for it. So you kind of, you compare, you listen and criticise very high quality things all the time, whether it's music or films, and you go, well, they could have changed that, they could have changed that. And then when you kind of look behind the curtain, you see how much work goes into just one scene, you go, well, yeah, if they only got 4 or 5 things wrong, films, it still baffles me that they managed to get made. Jesus Christ, so many people, so many working parts.
Absolutely.
It's
they say it's a miracle to get a film made. Oh, you've got more chance of winning the lottery.
Yeah.
Drama's the other job.
Right. So you won the lottery, basically.
I've written that.
Yeah. So when did you start writing? Well, what was it? Jurassic Park that made you go, I want to make films?
Mm-hmm.
Was it?
Yeah, I went to see Jurassic Park in '93, June 23rd, I think.
Yeah.
1993.
Fucking hell.
I went with my dad and my uncle Tony.
Uh-huh.
Came out of Showcase Cinema.
Yeah.
And I remember going home. I remember thinking, wow, that was amazing. Went home and I had all my toys and I had my cards, and the back of the Weetabix box was dinosaur, Cretaceous period landscape. So I had it all set up.
Yeah.
Sort of reenacting the scenes.
Yeah.
And I just remember my dad saying to my mum, he was like, You should have seen the queues. The women were dressed up in ball gowns and all sorts. Over exaggerated.
Yeah.
It made it out like we'd been to some awards ceremony. And then the next day I went to school, primary school at Acklandwin, and Mrs. Carroll, she was going around the class when you sit around the front. She was like, what does everyone want to be? And it was like footballer, spaceman, and I said I want to make films. And she kind of like laughed. And I'll never forgot that.
Yeah. Because you were being serious at the time. When you were a kid, you've got no prejudice.
I was 10.
You go, if I want to be a fucking astronaut, I like...
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
I didn't laugh at anyone else.
Yeah. Nor should we have any prejudice now.
No.
You know what I mean?
So, and then actually, I used to write little stories. I used to go and like paint and create on my PC when I was probably about 12, 13. Kids are out getting drunk now at 12, 13, but I was making movie posters on my computer. It'd be like the eye, and then like I'd draw an eye on paint and like print it out, and I'd put that on my wall. and I just sort of write stories. And I actually wrote for my GCSE creative writing. I wrote Metal Gear Solid.
Did you?
From start to finish. It was all 300 pages long. Sold it off as my own.
In like for your coursework or?
Yeah, coursework. Metal Gear Solid by Jonny Grant.
I know.
Not Hideo Kojima. It's my first example of but just wrote it out, wrote it as if it was a story.
Yeah. What mark did you get?
A star.
Yeah, class. Yeah, well,
that might be revoked now.
Depending on who you got to market, like if you got someone like a 28-year-old teacher who was a bit like...
Not 68-year-old Mrs. Crossway who had never seen Metal Gear. It was before the days of the internet, so plagiarism was much more
amazing.
Then anyway, so long story short, 'cause I'm going on. I went and done an English degree, and I was like, oh, I'm going to be a teacher.
Okay.
But I didn't become a teacher.
Yeah.
I completely fannied out.
Yeah. I dare say becoming a teacher might be fanning out. I've just offended a lot of teachers there, but
so I just started working in a call centre, and then I did a master's degree in creative writing, and on that was in like 2009, and on that there was a module in screenwriting, and I was sort of just got me, grabbed me completely. So started writing then.
Yeah.
But then I didn't write for a year. I became single and didn't. As you know, I had a bit of a wild year.
Yeah. Good times. Yeah.
Yeah, didn't write for that year, and then I got with Lena.
Yeah.
And she was like, "Well, you're going to start writing again."
Yeah.
That was in 2011, and I was like, "Oh, am I?" And she was like, "Yeah."
Okay.
And then started writing. Wrote the Nobodies 7 or 8 years ago. 7 years ago.
Is that how long ago it was?
Yeah, it's been through numerous drafts since then.
Yeah.
And then sent that to Lena went out with everyone, and I was like a weekend or something, but I spent 16 hours sending emails.
Fuck me.
Yeah, like with breaks, obviously. Just
yeah.
I've got an IMDb Pro account, which is signed up on my credit card, and I got this is how delusional I was. I got like Tom Cruise's email address. Just TomCruise@mail.com.
CC'd everyone in.
CC. Well, I was doing individual ones because they tell you not to do sort of blast emails out, umbrella emails. So I was like, "Dear Tom, I have attached my screenplay."
Wow.
Getting about a young boy.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
And then,
do you know what? Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was anyway. So I think I sent out 700 emails or something like that.
Yeah.
Must have got about 19 replies.
Did you?
All rejections.
Right.
Then I was like, this isn't working. I'm going to have to do the old-fashioned sending by mail. This was to try and get an agent.
Yeah.
I was clueless, completely clueless. So I got this book called The Hollywood Guide to Representation, sending my Teesside set film out to Beverly Hills.
Yeah.
So me and Lena went to Staples, and I got a print. I spent loads of money on a printer and special paper because I thought special paper would help.
Yeah. Present a certain amount of quality to.
So I sent 52 letters.
Yeah.
But I'd put the wrong stamp on.
Okay.
And that meant that I was getting rejection. I was having to drive to the post office to collect the rejection letter and then pay £2 for the privilege because I put the wrong stamp. So I ended up spending an extra £102 on
postage. Rejection postage.
Oh, just constant rejection.
Yeah.
And then the Nobodies finally got picked up by Luke Speed from Marjack Scripts, and then he got an option deal with Giles for the Nobodies. And we've been struggling for 7 years to get it made. Well, probably about, not 7 years, probably about 5 years to get it made.
Yeah.
And it's finally starting to roll along.
Yeah,
got
I was
a
gonna
meeting
say,
on Thursday with the producers in London.
Okay,
So.
amazing. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's like a long story.
No, it's interesting. And obviously, because you were in a band and stuff, which is how we originally kind of know each other from going out in bands and that. And I've always been fascinated, obviously, by like films and the film industry, and it's always been kind of something that creatively I've kind of leaned towards. So when you said you were screenwriting and stuff like that, I just instantly I was like, yeah, it's amazing. And
well, me and you went to Mink, didn't we, with that script with the Nobodies?
Yeah. I'd forgotten about that actually.
That
yeah,
was
we did.
Just before the Tom Cruise emails.
Was it? Do you know what I was going to say? What was really bizarre? I don't know if it was Getting or the Nobodies, but there was a scene where there's a kid. I think it's in Newcastle.
Be guessing.
Yeah, I think it was. Now you said it, I'd forgotten. I'd read it.
There's shades of that character in my book, which I've written. Right?
Yeah, class.
Definite shades of him. I feel like he's been.
I feel like
gnawing away at me.
You know, I feel like he exists. You know, like a David Brent or I feel like he's.
Can't seem to let go of him.
Yeah, no, you shouldn't. It'll come out somewhere in the perfect form.
Yeah.
But I basically, you know, when you imagine a scene in a film, and for whatever reason, I might have just been daydreaming. I imagined like a scene in a film from my own imagination, and I spent like a while, like the next couple of days, going, "What fucking film's that from?" Because I was going, the shot was class, like, you know, going like, "Oh, it looked mint," but like something triggered it, and then a couple of days later, I was like, "Yeah, it's that script that hasn't been made into a film."
Yeah,
yet.
it never will.
How strange! And I thought I've meant to tell you, and this was obviously years ago, that the fact that something that you wrote inspired my imagination enough to think this was an actual real film that I'd watched. I thought, well, that's credit to your writing. So well done, good stuff.
That's the thing, like, screenwriting's visual. You're not allowed to write, Rick was upset. You have to show why Rick was upset through actions, but in an interesting way. Yeah. And that's the struggle of screenwriting. You're constantly in the present tense and you're constantly visual. So you kind of get...
The very short attempts I've had at screenwriting, I've done some creative writing, as you know, just for my own pleasure, obviously, for now at least.
Yeah, but you're writing a book, aren't you? You're still doing that?
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah. Similar story. Well, Lottie said the other day, she kind of told me off because she was like, "When was the last time you wrote something?" And I was like, "Oh."
You need a woman to tell you these things.
And, it was only, bless her, it was because she was talking to a mate about an article that I got published, and then she said, her friend said, "Oh, does he still write?" And she said, "Oh, he does bits," but she basically said, "I haven't seen him write for a while." And her friend said, anyone who, because I have quite an active imagination, she said,
that's why it's important you write, though.
Yeah, well, that's what she said. She was like, there's no way that someone with an imagination like that should get wasted. So whether it's writing or creating something.
You were in a band
like
for a reason.
Yeah.
Writing music for a reason.
Yeah. And it was weird. For a long time, I felt like I wasn't creative. I don't think I've ever told anybody this, but when I worked at 10 Feet Tall, because it was a bit of a pressure cooker and I learnt a lot and it was good for me. I learnt a lot about myself, learnt a lot of skills, and like achieved a lot. But every week I had to come up with, and I had help, but generally I felt a lot of pressure to come up with an idea that was going to make that night successful. And there was so much to do that sometimes I'd wake up on a Monday and I'd go, it's soon on Friday and I've got nothing on.
But you're working to a deadline every week, so your brain had got used to...
But I got to a point where I was like, I think I just ran out of ideas, and I was like, it made me feel like uncreative, and I got into this really weird, like, now I can spot it a mile off because as you grow and learn, but I got into this thing in my own head, and you get, it's like anything, you get good momentum, you follow it through, and you do lots of good, fun, creative things, whatever you do in life, if you get bad momentum, you can spiral that way as well. And I was just going, I thought I've got no ideas. I thought maybe I'm not a creative person, and I just went on this really weird spiral where I was like,
imposter syndrome.
Yeah, where I was like, I don't have any good ideas, therefore, and it perpetuated into, I'm not a creative person. And it took a while, and then a few years later, and a few job changes and stuff, where I was just doing loads of stuff, and I was like, oh, hang on, I'm like, yeah, I think I've got some somewhere.
Absolutely,
you know
it's
what I mean?
Perfectly normal that.
Yeah.
I don't know a single writer who doesn't have crushing self-doubt.
Yeah.
I thought, right, I've got a degree, I'm going to be a writer now.
Yeah.
I thought, right, I've got another degree, I'm going to be a writer now. Then I've got an agent, I'm going to be a writer now. Then the movie's getting made, I'm going to be a writer now. And I never feel like a writer.
Yeah.
And I never feel satisfied. I always hate myself. And I hate my writing. Not myself. I don't hate myself.
Yeah.
I'm not depressed. I can't ever remember writing something and thinking, well, that's brilliant. That.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
I read it back. As soon as I send something to anybody, I find a million flaws with it.
Yeah.
Like right now, I hate my book.
Yeah.
Last week when I sent it, I was like, this is the best thing I've ever written. And I was thinking, right, the crushing self-doubt's going to come in soon.
Yeah,
and I was laid in bed at about 2 a.m, and I was like, plot hole came in my head.
Yeah.
Then what I do is I sort of torture myself, and I'll go through the entire document, 90,000 words, and I'll find something wrong with it.
Yeah.
And it's like a form of emotional self-harm.
That's torture.
And I'm like, there's something wrong with it. There's something wrong with it. And I go to Lena, should I email my agent and say, oh, I've noticed everything wrong with it, to preempt her seeing it, which I've done once, and I'm pretty sure it annoys her. And
it might do.
I was like, oh, the tenses are all over the place, and she emailed back saying, have started reading it, don't see any issue with the tenses. And it's like, am I making this up? Like, am I like?
Yeah.
I'll find problems. It's like writing dysmorphia. Which
It's a good way to put it.
It is. But I'm sure there's got a lot of things wrong with it, by the way, but not the stuff I'm seeing, because I'm not that smart to see what's wrong with it. I wouldn't have done it in the first place.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
I think it's funny, I speak to a lot of creative people in general on the podcast, and I've asked a few now, I'm like, have you ever had a chance to enjoy whatever it is that you do? And they'll just go, no. I'm like, oh, well, everybody else does, so thank you, but yeah, but it sucks to be you.
If I was looking at
doing, because
like you were going through, you just got an agent and all that, I'd be like, enjoy it, because you have to.
Yeah.
Whereas I just struggle.
Yeah.
You just think, oh, well, I'll be all right. And I know authors who've said the same, where I look at authors, like I'm in this writers group on WhatsApp.
Yeah.
And they're all in my agency, and like most of them have published and got books in shops.
Yeah.
And I think, God, what I'd give to be them. But
Yeah.
then they're like full of crushing self-doubt and full of anxiety, because you sell one book and then you're like,
You've got to
oh,
follow
worry
it up.
about the next one.
Yeah.
So I think, but at the same time, I wonder if I didn't have that, would I still be as motivated?
No, definitely.
Like
It's part of being the human beings that we are. I think it'll take a lot for us to be satisfied. And
Satisfaction is the death of desire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you've got to stop and smell the roses along the way. But yeah, if you kind of, and I do this a lot in life, and I imagine it drives certain people, Lottie, probably one of them up the wall. But when I kind of feel that like everything's going all right, I'm like, right, I need to change something. I need to do something. I need to do a podcast. I need to just
something's gonna, otherwise, I'm gonna just come to it. We've talked about it a lot, haven't we, about guilt, anxiety, and
complacence.
And again, most people I would tell this to, apart from you, are like, what are you talking about? I sit down and play FIFA for like 10 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I'm wasting my life. I need to do something else. I
find I'm coming to terms with it a lot more now, because I'm a lot more productive now, I guess, than I have been in the past. So something was bugging me this weekend, and I was just in my own head, and I couldn't fucking figure it out. And I was just thinking a bit ratty. Lottie was at work all weekend anyway, so she didn't get the brunt of it. Nobody did, but I'm in the middle of building a podcast studio thing. I have my drums in there upstairs and stuff, and I kind of got halfway with it, and I didn't have some stuff that I needed, and I just got frustrated, and I went, right, I've got like to 30%, so that's it for today. And then later on I was like, apart from that, I was like, I get it now, I haven't really done anything. So I was like, unfortunately, and I thought, fucking hell, I'm gonna have to open my laptop here and do something.
Absolutely.
So I got my laptop out and I wrote, and I was like, unfortunately, I just kind of had to go where I'm the type of person where if I don't do anything, like I can't enjoy that time. I'm annoyed at myself.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's exercise, and sometimes I just need to do a bit of exercise.
As bad as it sounds, I'm actually glad you say that, because it makes me feel less.
Yeah.
Like, it's about time management, really.
Yeah.
Like Stephen King says, write for 4 hours and then do something else.
Yeah.
You have to just put aside that time, and then when it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
But I've gone through periods where I've done that and sat down and still thought, I should be doing something else.
Yeah.
But it's not healthy.
No.
Really, you should rest your brain, because it's a muscle, really. You wouldn't go to the gym for 8 hours in a day.
No.
You go to the gym and then, that's it. Your gym time's done.
Yeah.
And that's what it should be like for your imagination and creativity and all that stuff.
I did it with a video project last week. I did some behind the scenes stuff in London for like a jiu-jitsu thing, and I didn't quite know what it was going to be, so it was quite hard to to capture it, and I did an edit, sent it to the guys who would publish it, and they kind of watched it and said, oh, all these, like, we like, basically, like, I just kind of sent them a 6-minute thing and just said, like, this is what I've got, I don't know what it is, where do you want me to go with it? And they really liked loads of bits of it, and they were like, these are amazing, this is amazing, some backstage stuff that people don't normally get to see. Some like emotions are quite high at the end of some of the matches and stuff, and I got a little bit of that, so people slamming doors and being dramatic, and he like just base it all around that. So I was like, right, okay, went back to the drawing boards and kind of looked through the footage, and I thought, I don't have much of that, but I'll fumble some stuff together, put it together, and then sent it to their video guy, who's great, a lovely guy, and he's very good at what he does. And then he was off for a couple of days, which was good, because I just kind of thought, well, I've sent him it now, I'm just going to leave it and crack on with other stuff. And then 3 or 4 days later, he sent me a really nice email back saying, like, here's my thoughts, why don't you try doing this, why don't you try like doing this, and like take shape. And then I watched it and I was like, oh yeah, it's shit. Like, but I'd just been so like, I was so fast
so into it,
that I just couldn't.
The Giles who did the dares would be a great person to talk about that with.
Yeah.
Like they say that like, some things are, all creative things just never have an end.
Yeah.
Now, the dare went through hundreds, maybe not hundreds, but a lot of drafts.
Yeah.
And as a film goes further and further into production, more and more people have an input, because there's execs, and there's other producers, and there's actors, and there's sound people, and there's all these people are reading the script and going, well, you should do this, you should do this.
Yeah.
And one thing we've probably learned is, number one, is to stick to what we intended.
Yeah. Which can be hard.
Yeah, but to strike that balance between listening to feedback, but also knowing when to let go. Like the film finished shooting. We finished initial principal photography over a year ago, so like 14 months ago. Yeah. There's been 2 lots of reshoots, which is normal for any movie.
Okay.
But today, I've been writing, minor edits on ADR, which is like an additional dialogue replacement. So to go
when they kind of have it on the screen and people.
Yeah, where they have to kind of do the voiceover where the character has his back turned or whatever. So just to give a little bit more clarity to certain scenes. So even though the film wrapped over a year ago, even to this day,
making script adjustments
couple of months from release, still editing the script.
Shit. Yeah.
So, but that's the thing, you know, that's because we've wanted to do it. Yeah. Which, don't get me wrong, there's some great advice and great feedback from people. But it's knowing when to let go and when to keep going. Yeah.
So
sometimes you can edit a script into submission or edit.
Yeah. You can ruin it almost.
There's so many different factors influencing, like you said earlier as well, about 100, like literally like hundreds of people working on a movie. Yeah. And I used to think, the screenwriter is everything, and if the screenplay is not very good, then but there's just a million different things that could.
I mean, it's
affect if it's good.
I find it more and more fascinating that somebody like Quentin Tarantino exists and they have such a big stamp on what's being created, because there's so many people involved. I was always the same with directors, and I thought like director is like the man, and you go, well, actually, you know, Blade Runner 2049 wouldn't have been as such an amazing thing without Roger Deakins being the cinematographer.
No, absolutely not. Exactly.
So much goes into
arguably the best thing about that movie is the cinematography.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
If it was the script, it would have got a nomination for best script, but it didn't.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, the script wasn't the best thing about it, the cinematography was.
The script was like 6 minutes of silence. Ryan Gosling stares blankly. Screen looks beautiful, which is fine.
But that's what it was. It's every movie has to be an Oscar movie to be great.
Of course, yeah.
The best thing about Get Out as a screenplay was that there wasn't a wasted word in that screenplay. I don't know if you noticed, when he's having a shave at the beginning, obviously the shaving foam's white and he's scraping the white off his face. Yeah. That was in the screenplay.
Right, okay.
That wasn't an accident. That wasn't something that Jordan Peele thought, you know what, it'd be cool, which happens, stuff that isn't in the script and then it gets added later.
Yeah,
that was purposefully in the screenplay.
Yeah.
The fact that he's a photographer, he's got black and white photos on his wall.
Yeah.
Black and white, sorry. It's all symbolic, and it's all...
Yeah.
Like when he's getting walked around the house by her dad, and he talks about the Olympic runner who got beaten, and then you see the guy running towards him because he's trying to beat his record.
Yeah.
This is just like watch the Jordan Peele's commentary on the
Yeah,
Blu-ray.
I will. Yeah.
It's really, really interesting. But a good script is not a wasted word.
Yeah. Do you know what's like? This is a total tangent, but I didn't realise how much like voice acting and stuff Jordan Peele had done for it. And I was watching the thing on Netflix called Big Mouth. I don't know if you've seen it. It's like an animated cartoon about like kids going through puberty. It's funny. It's totally bizarre. And he plays like a ghost jazz musician that lives in the attic. And I just kept seeing on the credits Jordan Peele, and I was like, I know that name. And I googled it, and I thought, what the fuck? Like, because I'd watched Get Out not long before, and I was like, why is he just playing this dude in a cartoon? But he plays it really well. So, that's today's tangent.
I think, it's weird where people come from, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like Lady Bird. God, I've forgotten the name of the girl who's in Lady Bird, but she's in Harry Potter. She's what's her name? Luna Lovegood, yeah. Laura Lovebird. Luna Lovegood. Yeah, she's the Irish lass. But she's like, I loved Lady Bird.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I need to watch it. I've still got a few working through my list. I want to watch I, Tonya as well.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. Loved Three Billboards, obviously.
Yeah.
I was very, very stuck that was going to win, and then I had to get a good think about it before I'd committed to my Facebook post.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this film doesn't represent America very well. It's not by an American.
Yeah.
Typically, Oscar movies are typically Hollywood.
Yeah.
And I thought that Shape of Water, as great as it is, and I don't mean this as a criticism, it's a very Hollywood movie.
Yeah.
It's got the kind of musical element
Yeah.
to it, and those shots underwater, and it just seemed to
it's
lead
also basked in like 1950s
Yes.
LA nostalgia.
Yeah, cinema. Yeah, and the Academy loves films about the Academy.
Yeah.
So
it was only about halfway through.
like when The Artist won, like of course it did.
Yeah.
These are the biggest egos in the world, and I'm not just saying that's the reason why it won. I just think that would have swayed it away from Three Billboards, because that was kind of a pretty bleak reimagining of America by an Irish guy.
Yeah.
Which it's a great, and it got a nomination, but I don't know. That was my thinking behind saying actually Shape of Water. I mean, The Shape of Water is like Del Toro said in his speech, is by an immigrant, and he's worked his ass off to get.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been sort of rebuffed from countless projects from the university. He wanted to do the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Got knocked back for that. Was involved in The Hobbit. Then that didn't work out.
Oh, yeah, he was, yeah.
He's made done some sort of producing things on like Mammoth. But really, since Pan's Labyrinth hasn't hit those heights.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So
the film he did before, The Horror in the House, I can't remember what it's called, but I thought it was all right. And I like Guillermo
Crimson
del Toro.
Peak.
That's one.
Well, hold on, Crimson Peak. Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I was fucking second guess myself there. I was going, oh no,
Crimson Peak. Yeah, with Jessica Chastain.
Yeah. Well, The Shape of Water. I mean, it visually. I mean, I think is second to none. Like I'm kind of
production design. Right, one production design as well.
Yeah.
Best soundtrack.
It makes sense. But yeah, that kind of romantic. I think about halfway through the film, it mentions that it's in a part of Boston. I can't remember where, and I was like, I just presumed it was in LA because it was so Hollywood. Yeah. Three Billboards. Like I kind of struggle to express myself over Twitter sometimes because I talk a lot. I
thought it was very accurate.
But with them
review.
Yeah, Three Billboards. Just that. I mean, I loved it and all the way through it because you were getting a little bit of narrative, not punishment, the other one, reward. So you kind of going, I hope, I can't think of any specific examples, but
like Sam Rockwell's character gets what's coming to him, but then you hate him, and you'd put
hate him, and then literally half an hour there, I was like, I can't delete my tweet.
As a couple of people at work had watched it, and I said, have you ever been so roller coaster of emotion up and down with hating and loving a character as much as Sam Rockwell in that though?
There was bits with her where she was getting her own way and she was kind of doing stuff that you wanted her to do, and sometimes films will drag it out and tease it out of you for obvious for obvious reasons throughout the narrative to draw whatever emotional response to want. But all the way through it, you're going, yeah, you tell him to fuck off, and you do that, and you're like, yeah. So that you got all these yeses all the way through, right up till the end, where you're like, oh well.
And people are disappointed with the end. So a lot of people are disappointed with the end.
I can imagine, because when it got to that point, I was like, it was like someone who just like, it was completely deflated.
And I wonder if the ending had been what people wanted and had a Hollywood ending, then it would have fared better.
Maybe.
Don't get me wrong, it hasn't fared bad. It's got a nomination for an Oscar.
Well, she won. Best actress, didn't she? So but I love that, because I like anything that kind of flips things on its head. But the same at the end, just until I thought about it, which I like to watch a film and I presume you do, and then kind of digest it for 10 minutes. I mean, like, you got the cinema, we'll go watch a film, and I'll kind of like, I won't say anything in the car journey home, and then we'll probably get into bed and I'll be like, did you see how, like...
you start thinking about it.
Like, we got home like an hour ago, like, how come we haven't talked about it since? And I'm like, because I like to digest things and process things, do the same with music.
Interestingly, she got her Oscar stolen last night for like 20 minutes.
Fuck. By like...
Someone's clearly going to do a meme or something that says Oscar stolen, no arrests on like a billboard. It was found again. Some guy nicked it.
Right. What a dick.
I know.
Like, what would you even do with it?
It's like best actress on it, and he's a guy.
You can't sell it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you could sell it on the black market, which weird fucking drug dealer's going to buy it? You know what I mean? Like a mound of cocaine, and then the best actress Oscar on it. Like, what? Next to your Uzi? Very strange.
Exactly.
I wanted to... So, again, I got obviously very interested in films, and with anything that... I'm a bit of a tech geek, and I like production, and I like figuring out like who does what. It'd be a bit of a dream to be on a film set at some point. I like to think I'm quite ambition based, so at some point I probably will be on a film set. But I'd like to kind of talk through the Dare from like start to finish.
Yeah.
Written in 2014.
Yeah.
I know that because it was in the file on my laptop. Like the Dare 2014.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think we started it around then. Giles was obviously Giles had come on board for the Nobodies.
Yeah.
And he messaged me like a brief outline of this horror movie that was called Welcome at the Last Day of Your Life.
Okay.
And he was like, do you want to write this with me? And I read it and I was like, yeah, that's cool. Definitely do. Actually, me and Lena both read it over, like she read it over my shoulder, and like a couple of times we were like, it wasn't like the full, changed so much now, but it was a couple of pages of like a brief synopsis. It's like he's like, I'm just struggling to crack the story a little bit, I think, and just wanted a bit of sort of. So we smashed out a draft. Yeah. In a week or two.
Okay.
And then we kind of went through a couple of revisions, and Giles sent it to Ralph Little's production company, Ralph Little from the Royal Family.
Yeah.
But they really liked it actually, and they were going to do it, but then they'd got some other sort of projects on board that were consuming all the time. Like they've actually done Borderline on Channel 5 now. Is it Borderline? Yeah, I can't remember. I think it is. It's a comedy anyway. So that was like out the water, and then Giles had sent it to New Bayana Film Studios in Bulgaria, which is owned by Millennium Films and New Image, and they'd kind of graded it up, and I think they'd recommended it. They made it, and this was in like May 2015, I think.
Right. Yeah.
And then Giles went over to the studio.
Yeah.
And walked around, and like the studio's like huge. I mean, they've filmed some massive films there. They've done like 300. Yeah. Rise of the Empire, I think. Olympus Has Fallen, London Has Fallen. Hitman's Bodyguards with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel. The new Hellboy's getting filmed there at the minute. I think they're in post there. Yeah. So, and he was like...
Where's that?
New Bayana in Sofia in Bulgaria.
Right, cool.
Biggest film studio in Europe. But the reason that New Image moved a studio there, they've got one in LA, I think, is because it's of the sort of tax. Right. You don't have to get a license to blow a car up like you do in Los Angeles.
You can get away with a lot in Europe.
So you can get away with a lot.
You can blow cars up if you want.
Yeah. And it's
on a stag do.
You can double your budget, basically.
Okay.
So, Giles went off there and he was like, mate, we have to get this happen. We have to make this happen here.
Yeah.
And the producers just went, yeah, we'll make it. And Charles was like, what?
Yeah, that never happens.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen. He was
Yeah.
like, yeah, we'll make it, that's fine.
Okay.
And we will. Anyway, I was just like, this is insane.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen at all. So then they started casting. They got Richard Brake and Richard Shaw, who was a really good actor.
Yeah. What's Richard Brake been in again?
Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
31, Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah.
Really good
He
mate.
played the
Doomhead.
King.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Game of Thrones, sorry,
Game of Thrones is like Night King, yeah.
That's one, yeah.
Up until like season 4 or something, and then the CGI'd over him.
Yeah. He's quite translucent later
yeah.
on, isn't he? Yeah. So.
And then it was just mad. I was getting married at the time, so I went from a wedding. I was probably talking to you about it at my wedding actually, and then I went over for, not that I'd remember, and then I went over for a week after our honeymoon.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this is insane. I was
Yeah.
watching like a crew of like 50 odd plus people, like
Yeah.
building sets and
You're based on some words that you've
and then I was like listening in the video village to the dialogue and like going out to the video village and saying like, we need to change this line and giving lines to Richard Brake, and I was just like, this is madness, like what am I doing? But the hours are like 12-hour long days, like 6 till 6 at least until it got dark. Absolutely freezing cold, but like worth it, like the cold stuff we've been in.
I mean, people, a lot of glitz and glamour around, I guess, actors, at least in terms of filmmaking.
Work hard, man.
In terms of like on set, and like I said, days on set are reduced to assisting like on fairly high production music videos, but they were like 15-hour days. I remember being on one, and I was with a girl when I lived in Leeds, and we were like quite young and in love, but she was kind of like texting me like, when you're coming home, and like 6 o'clock or something, and I was like, I'll just like probably tomorrow, like, because I've always been quite savvy and kind of known that like I'm not going to be like, oh, see you later boys, I'll just ruin this opportunity because I'm going to go and sit and watch fucking Coral with my girlfriend. You know what I mean? I was like, and even then being prepared for that every time. I think with most music videos I worked on, we've prepped for 12-hour days, in maybe over 3 or 4 days, and we've ended up, it's been about 15 hours. But people don't see that.
No, they don't. And that's the thing, what Giles has said a couple of things is, number one, people don't care how hard you worked on the movie.
Yeah.
When they go and see it.
Yeah.
People will go and see Star Wars. I mean, Mad Max Fury Road, that was a 14 months, 400 hours footage shoot they had in the desert in the worst conditions possible. And I went to see it. I went to see it on the night with Jar, and then I went to see it the next morning with Lena because I loved it that much.
Yeah.
And there was a lad, the second time I went to see it on the front row, and he came out and went, worst film I've ever seen. It's like 400 hours of footage and over like 14 months in the desert, and you just miss it. So people don't care how hard you've worked on it.
Yeah, but there's so much out there, so there's so much choice that...
So that's for creative to whinge about.
Yeah.
No one cares how hard I've worked on this and anything, and how hard we are put. So what was I saying?
So the dare then got to you.
Oh yeah. So you're just on set, and it's just we didn't get a really long shoot. That was
How long was the shoot?
3 weeks.
Okay, that's not very long.
Not long at all. To be fair.
Is that why you ended up reshooting some bits? Do you think? Yeah.
Yeah. Like the crew were just constantly rushing, and Charles, ideally, like Stanley Kubrick was doing like 300 takes.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? For The Shining, we were like doing like 1 or 2 and then being like, well, we need to move on.
Oh, shit. Yeah.
So...
Was Giles directing?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Did an amazing job.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, like, given the budget and given the time, what we could like really do.
Yeah, 18 weeks or so, 12 weeks, sorry.
Yeah, like a 12-week shoot, massive budget. But can't complain because we've got a studio movie for our first movie.
Getting made. Yeah. It's very cool, yeah.
And potentially, a brief cinema release, a premiere, and maybe Netflix or something, we just don't know.
Amazing.
So it's going, I think it might be finished by end of this month, like the final mix.
Right.
They're doing the soundtrack as we speak.
Yeah.
VFX is done, I think. Then the just final bits of ADR over the top.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to see the final version, and then maybe festivals or just to see what's going to happen with distribution. But
amazing. It must be. Well, first point I was going to make. How many people would you guesstimate were on set while you were on set? 50?
Quite a lot.
Yeah.
I couldn't put an exact number on it.
Again,
I just remember, like, it seems very blurry to me now. Like, in and out, a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I guess, like a gig, almost, and I use a lot of music as a frame of reference because it's where my background is. But you kind of like, like when the pressure's on and you're in the moment and you're having to make like edits, and you like your brain's going like as fast as possible, so you're not kind of going, oh, you know what, I'll get a wicked picture here for my Instagram, or like, you're just like, I need to fucking nail this. So you perhaps not
absolutely. And I think that pressure has really helped me. Like Giles saying, right, I need to get this by now. Yesterday.
Yeah.
Then I've learned to kind of edit really quickly.
Yeah.
So one thing I will say about
and be
myself,
satisfied to
yeah, I can edit, I can write very, very quickly now. I can do like 2,000 words an hour.
Fucking hell.
Not that that's going to be any good, but I have the ability to do that because I've
you
worked out. You know, in the sense of not muscles worked out, but I've exercised my
like
brain
we were saying,
to do
the
that.
brain probably is a muscle, and you can train it.
If only I could remember where I put the keys, or that I put something in the oven, or numerous other things which I'm like terrible at. But in terms of writing stuff down quickly, I can do it. Can't change a tyre, but I don't think. Could write about one though.
You could probably write down the process of. I reckon you'd figure it out.
Funnily enough, like the first day I was on set, I was very ignorant, to be honest, because I didn't know what I was doing. And there's like etiquette on set, and I just kind of just slanted over. It was like a guy there, and it's like, and he's like, "Stand back! What are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh." And then Giles was like, "Oh, he's a writer. You can come on." They just thought I was some guy who just, I am some guy, but I had no involvement with the film whatsoever.
Yeah, just thought you'd wandered on.
Yeah,
that's quite funny.
So that was like a wide awakening.
I bet.
But no, it was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Just
to go from obviously that conversation where Giles had an idea, essentially, to one of the things I've also learned is I have lots of ideas. Lots of people have lots of ideas, but actually following that idea through, you can have the best idea for anything in the world, but it's the tenacity and the drive to power through the hard bits to get something made. So for you to kind of go from that with Giles to, in a month's time have like a product, like you've got things there, you know what I mean? It's I know it's not tangible, like you didn't make that, but like, you know what I mean? Like you've got a product there, something that you've
when you're holding the Blu-ray, it'll be good.
Yeah, that'd be nice. And so when it's out, do you have any sort of distribution? Can you say if you've got any sort of distribution deal? Do you know where it's going yet? Or
well, it's Millennium, we know that much. But whether they do sell it to different territories, which I assume they will, they seem to be putting a lot of effort into it.
Okay.
To get it out to different territories. So
are you gonna have like a bit of a T-side kind of like premiere for it? Or?
Definitely, if I can,
yeah.
Definitely, I'll have a word with Cineworld and say, "Oh, look, I'm from the area. I had a Cineworld card for decades."
My mate Rick's still going.
Yeah,
he only goes once a week.
I've cancelled it because just saving like every last penny for the baby.
Yeah, like when you have a baby, the chances of you being able
not being able to. Lena's got like a bad back with the pregnancy, so we haven't been able to go. Although we did go and see Black Panther, and she like struggled through.
Yeah,
I think it was worth it for her, for Michael B. Jordan, to be honest. She said if it wasn't for him, I'd have had to leave. But no, it's killed me not having a cinema card.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, but so I'm sure. I reckon Cineworld will let you do it. Whether they'll charge or I don't know. But yeah.
We'll see what and there's going to be a premiere.
Daft not to.
Yeah. There's going to be a premiere in London, I think.
Okay.
That'd be trying to think what other projects there is.
Yeah. I'll speak to you about some like T-side PR after this if you want.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm no wizard, but I'll help you out.
It's like I say, it's if we had more money, I'm not making excuses, but if we had more money and more time, it would be a better movie. It's how it is. But we've done our best with it.
I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be really good.
Yeah, it's
I'll be
when it comes it's not just a torture porn movie. It's I'd like to think it has quite a bit of substance behind it.
Yeah. Class. Are you nervous for it to come out?
Yeah. Terrified. I'm supposed to be enjoying it, but I won't.
Yeah, and nobody's
terrified for reviews
again because I'm sure that's on the file on my laptop.
Yeah, that's changed a lot as well.
Yeah, I think the draft you sent me says 2011 on it.
Yeah.
So it's probably changed a little bit. Anyway.
It's just crazy how much that's. I mean,
you mentioned at the start that's kind of like being shopped around a little bit. Some interest in it.
Yeah. Well, it's actually with a production company who I'm meeting with on
Thursday.
Meeting him on Thursday. I'm going to the screening for that new movie Anna and the Apocalypse.
All right.
Which is coming out at Christmas.
Cool.
Which is Shaun of the Dead meets High School Musical.
Right, okay.
But it's actually got cinema releases worldwide, that one.
Amazing, yeah.
All across America, Japan, England. So I think a
I'll
lot
go see
of
it,
people will be talking about that at Christmas. But that's only good for us because they've produced that.
The momentum that they get.
And the momentum will help us. Although The Nobodies is a completely different movie.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not saying it would ever get nominated for anything, but it's much more along the lines of Lady Bird, Three Billboards, those kind of like dramas.
Yeah.
It's very dark.
Cool.
That's why it's been such a struggle, and it's not easy to get a film about heroin set in Middlesbrough with £1 million upwards budget, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But,
do you ever, I mean, like having had it get shopped around for so long, did you ever kind of just, you know, when obviously there's a production company attached now and that's like quite exciting, do you just kind of, if Giles picks up the phone or whoever gets in touch and say, oh, so-and-so's interested in making this film, are you just kind of like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it?
Actually, it's been with the same production company for since it got optioned in 2014.
All right.
So the issue has been raising the money, the finances, but so they've turned their attention to Anna and the Apocalypse, and as a result, that's helping us out.
Yeah.
In theory, so it's more being about
things.
It's more being about finances and getting investors on board with the film, which
it's just hard.
Is that dark and is that real?
Yeah.
But I think the tide's turning, so we've got more of a chance now, and soon like investors can see that. But there's you know, like you say, there's a million different factors. So hopefully in the next couple of months it'll be quite telling. I think the Dare will help with it as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially having some names attached to it and stuff. Then.
And I've got like about 3 other different scripts that are sort of my agents shopping around now.
Yeah. Cool.
On the back of the Dare.
So anything that you're really excited about? Scripts that you really love. Yeah.
I've just written a horror. I'll have to tell you the reason that I wrote this horror. I had a dream about 4 years ago. Yeah. Where I was just stood in like a car park, and this man came along with a teenage girl who was half human, half bird. Okay. And she was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. She had like little black, like beady pockhole eyes. Yeah. With no ears but a beak like forming through her nose and tiny little bird teeth, and she stunk of like wet hair and had feathers like coming out of her skin. Yeah. And like the scariest grin you've ever seen. So, but really, like, I'm not that scared of much, to be honest. Like, apart from real life things like illnesses and stuff like that, I'm not scared of anything horror-wise. It's my favourite genre, but it doesn't scare me. I just like it because it's cool. Yeah. But this woman, girl, whatever it was, absolutely terrifies me. Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to have to write her into something. Yeah. So I did, and I wrote it as like a Black Swan, about a teenager coming of age and turning into a bird. And I was like, it's just a Black Swan ripoff set in a school. So I turned it round. I think I sent it to Job actually, and he said something like that. So I was like, oh God, she needs to be a villain. Okay. So I've rewritten it where it's about a new mum, funnily enough. Okay. Without even realising that I'm going to be a dad soon. And I kind of subconsciously wrote a story about a baby going missing in the woods. Right, okay. Which was taken by this bird woman. Like, to me, there's nothing scarier than this woman taking my child in the woods. And it's kind of, I think my agent described it as the girl on the train meets the birds. Right. But it's got a little bit of the witch in it as well. Class. So I find it probably the scariest thing I've ever written. Amazing. So that's gone to some genre producers. Yeah. Hopefully you'll pick it up. But yeah, I said I don't really like most of the stuff that I write, but I think I quite like this. Class. I find it so scary. Yeah. Amazing. Cool. Well, so the Dare out sometime this year? Hopefully. Yeah. Hopefully summertime, maybe. Yeah. Maybe June. I don't know. I'd be lying if I said I knew. 100%, yeah. But it is going to come out. Cool. Keep an eye out for it, people. Thank you, mate. Thanks, mate. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Is there anyone in particular you want to give a shout out to on Twitter? Any? Giles' podcast, the Filmmakers Podcast. Yep. Everyone should follow that. It's brilliant. I listen to it every week. Cool. Giles, the producer, the co-writer and director. Yeah, he's co-writer with the Dare, the director of the Dare. Going to be director of the Nobodies. Awesome. Probably a lot of things we do together, but it's really, really, really good podcast. Class. And Parkhouse Pictures and Blazing Griffin for Anna and the Apocalypse. And cool.
yeah, just keep an eye on them for future stuff. All right.
Yeah, cool.
Killer. Thanks, Steve.
Thanks, man. Cheers.